Ever feel like history's hiding more than it's revealing?
I know what you mean.
Like we're only getting a glimpse of the real story.
Yeah, like we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And today's deep dive, we're tackling one of those figures shrouded in mystery, Pythagoras.
Oh, definitely a figure with layers.
To say the least, get ready to unpack a life where secret societies,
Oh, the secrecy.
reincarnation,
A concept way ahead of its time.
and the music of the cosmos all kind of swirl together.
It's what makes exploring his legacy so captivating.
Absolutely. But where do we even begin? We've got excerpts on Pythagoras' life, his teachings, the controversies. It's almost like trying to wrangle smoke.
It really is. Even trying to pin down the basics about his life is a challenge. You've got ancient sources claiming he studied in Egypt, soaking up wisdom from those mysterious priests.
Classic.
Others say, nope, he was hanging out with Persian magi,
Wait, what?
or even journeyed as far as India.
It's like he was collecting frequent flyer miles in the ancient world. Makes you wonder, how much is true, right? How much is embellishment, and how much is rooted in actual history?
It's a great question. And, it speaks volumes about how knowledge was perceived back then.
Like a status symbol?
Exactly. Almost like the more stamps you had in your travel journal from these far-off lands, the more credible you were.
I studied with the Egyptian priests, you know.
Exactly. So these stories, regardless of their accuracy, paint a picture of Pythagoras as this insatiable seeker of knowledge, someone who drew wisdom from all these different traditions.
Always pushing those boundaries.
Seriously.
And that thirst for knowledge eventually leads him to Croton in Italy, right? That's where he really makes his mark, founding the Pythagoreans.
Exactly.
And that group.
Yeah.
They practically invented the idea of a secret society.
It's almost more accurate to think of them as this fusion of a philosophical school, a religious community,
Okay?
and maybe even a very early version of a university, in a way. This shared living, this system of beliefs, dedicating themselves to something bigger. They were pioneers.
But still, all this secrecy. I have to ask, what did they even talk about in those meetings?
Right. It definitely piques your curiosity.
It really does. But speaking of intriguing connections, let's talk about music.
Okay.
Pythagoras was linking music and mathematics.
Fascinating stuff.
It's like he was basically composing cosmic algorithms centuries before Spotify even existed.
He was exploring what's called musica universalis.
Okay, break that down for me.
Musica universalis, the music of the spheres.
Okay.
Pythagoras, he believed the universe wasn't random. It vibrated with this hidden harmony. And that harmony, expressed through mathematical ratios.
So like the universe is this giant symphony orchestra, but we're only hearing like a tiny fraction of it.
Exactly. It's a pretty awe-inspiring concept.
It really is. Did the Pythagoreans believe music had a practical purpose too, or was it all about the cosmic stuff?
Oh, they definitely believe music influenced the soul. That it had the power to purify you, to heal you, even to elevate you to this higher state of being.
So it wasn't just about, enjoying a nice melody.
No, not at all. It was about aligning yourself with this grand universal harmony, finding your place within it.
Wow. Makes those healing frequencies people listen to today seem a little less out there. Maybe there's something to it. But let's shift gears for a moment. Let's talk about Pythagoras' legacy. And I'm talking about the legacy that's literally etched in stone, or at least in textbooks. The Pythagorean theorem.
Of course.
Whether he actually discovered it or not is up for debate, but his name. It's forever linked to that elegant relationship between the sides of a right triangle.
It's such a fundamental concept.
It really is. And it's not just some abstract idea either. It's had practical implications for centuries.
Oh, absolutely.
Architecture, engineering, heck, even something as mundane as making sure that bookshelf is perfectly level.
It's everywhere when you start looking for it.
It's true. It's practical, sure, but it's also kind of poetic. The idea of math underpinning the very structure of the world around us.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is. But all this order and logic, it makes some of their other beliefs, their lifestyle choices, even more intriguing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what's the deal with the whole no beans rule for Pythagoreans? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, the forbidden fava bean. A bit of an enigma. Right?
It's like, out of all the things to ban, beans. Really.
It's true. There are theories tying it to their beliefs about reincarnation.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The idea was to avoid harming any living thing, and that included beans, apparently.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying they thought even a bean could be housing a soul?
In a nutshell, yes. The
Huh.
fear was they could be harming a soul in the midst of its reincarnation journey.
That is some next-level commitment to a plant-based diet.
Right. Of course, there are other theories that are a bit more, shall we say, down to earth.
Like what?
Some suggest it was about social status. Maybe beans were seen as, commoner food.
Interesting. A little bit of ancient classism.
Could be. Or it could have been practical, like maybe they were concerned about digestion or other health effects.
Okay, yeah, beans can definitely have some interesting side effects.
Exactly.
But it's fascinating how this one little legume gives us this peek into their whole belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of beliefs, we can't talk about Pythagoras without diving into reincarnation.
Absolutely not.
They were way ahead of the curve on that one.
Oh, for sure. Metempsychosis, it was a cornerstone of their philosophy. The idea that the soul is immortal, reborn into a new body after death.
So they believed in a cycle of life and death and rebirth.
Exactly. And get this, they even entertained the idea that the soul could come back as an animal.
Wow. Imagine the weight of your actions with that belief system, knowing that this life is just one chapter in a much, much longer story. It's kind of a heavy thought.
Right, and it makes you think, did they have any idea about what determined what form you took in the next life? Like, was there a Pythagorean guidebook to reincarnation?
Right. If you do this, you'll come back as a cat.
Huh. Well, unfortunately, no. There isn't a Pythagorean reincarnation rulebook that we know of, but they definitely emphasize purity, ethical conduct. The idea seems to be that your actions in this life, they had a ripple effect.
They influenced your future incarnations.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder if that belief played into their dedication to mathematics, to music. Were they trying to purify their souls through knowledge and harmony, maybe even hoping to break free from that cycle of rebirth?
It's an intriguing thought, isn't it? It speaks to their belief in the interconnectedness of everything.
The cosmos, human life.
Even something as simple as what we choose to eat. For them, the pursuit of knowledge wasn't just about, satisfying their curiosity. It was about aligning themselves with a higher order, literally and figuratively.
Like they were trying to crack the universe's source code, trying to find those patterns, those harmonies that dictate everything. Kind of reminds me of how we use algorithms, data analysis today.
It really is. It's like they had this intuitive sense of something bigger at play, trying to tap into that underlying code that makes sense of it all.
And they weren't afraid to use whatever tools they had,
Yeah.
right? Like liars, mathematics, who knows what else.
Exactly. They were way ahead of their time, but that human desire to understand, that's a constant, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's incredible to think their ideas, we're still grappling with them today. The Pythagorean theorem, secret societies, reincarnation.
It's like their way of looking at the world still speaks to something fundamental in us.
It really does. And Pythagoras, he reminds us that pursuing knowledge isn't just about, memorizing facts and figures. It's about those big questions, those aha moments that help us understand our place in all of this.
Absolutely. It's about making those connections, finding that sense of wonder.
Exactly. He challenges us to look beyond the everyday, to find those hidden harmonies in the world around us, and maybe even within ourselves.
It's a good reminder to stay curious.
It really is. So, the next time you're listening to music, or maybe looking up at the stars, think of Pythagoras and those big questions he dared to ask. You never know what you might discover.